All right, we have this news item for you. Russian President Vladimir Putin says the Kremlin is in dialogue with the U.S. on bringing home jailed Americans Paul Whelan and Evan Gershkovich.
He made the announcement during his annual year-end address and press conference today. It is the first time that he's held the event since launching the invasion of Ukraine. During the press conference, he addressed a number of other issues, including the war, relations with China, and the state of the Russian economy.
CBS News contributor Mary Ilyushina joins us now from Riga, Latvia, with more on this. So much to digest, considering that President Putin hasn't done this in a while. This dialogue, the president says he's now engaging in with the U.S. about the two jailed Americans. Why is that something significant for him to talk about right now?
Good afternoon. Well, it's very significant because he's actually confirmed that they are engaging at all on this topic. Because before, he was asked multiple times whether there's kind of any chance for Gershkovich and Paul Whelan to return home, and they kind of tried to shut down this conversation, saying that they don't want to discuss anything of the sort in public. This answer was in response to a question whether Russia indeed denied a substantial offer made by the U.S. recently to bring them home, and to which Putin said that yes, we are in negotiations. He didn't get into any specifics about the offer, but he said that he wants to find a mutually acceptable deal with the United States on that.
Well, what did President Putin have to say about the war in Ukraine? Because a recent U.S. intelligence report found about 87% of Russia's military personnel have been killed or wounded in the war. Did he address that at all?
He didn't address that directly. He was asked about whether there's going to be a mobilization happening in Russia anytime soon, because obviously people are worried how Putin is going to replenish all of the losses they've sustained in Ukraine. And he said that there is no need for that right now because this very widespread and aggressive campaign to recruit contractors by the Russian Defense Ministry, Putin claimed was very successful, and that they've managed to recruit over 400,000 people. And that he also claimed that about 1,500 try to sign up every day. That number that was given by the U.S. intelligence, they're, as far as I understand, they're talking about the invasion force. And since then, obviously, Russia tried to replenish a lot of that, and they heavily relied on convicts, on contract soldiers, and they're trying to kind of both keep people at home more or less happy without forcing another wave of mobilization, but also ensuring that there is a stream of manpower going to the front line pretty consistently.
I know you follow Russia and Putin so closely, Mary. I'm wondering if it's not just something that President Putin said, but maybe there was something he didn't say or his body language that really stood out to you in this press availability. And I use loose quotes around that.
Yeah, it's a very highly managed event. He glossed over quite a few issues because he's actually facing pressure from the families of mobilized men who were drafted last year, because some of them spent up to 15 months in the trenches without any rotation because he never legally ended this mobilization. Then there's a pretty big group of women and mothers of soldiers forming that wanted Putin to answer these questions during the press conference, and he didn't address that. He obviously didn't address any casualties. He didn't address very sensitive issues like payments to soldiers. He made some promises, but without really committing to solving this problem in a very timely manner, as he's facing pressure in that realm as well. He didn't offer much in terms of economic relief, and a lot of questions that were asked today is about how the Russian government is going to mitigate the effects of the war and the costs of the war on the domestic population. And people were very concerned with rising consumer prices and things like that.
All right, Mary Ilyushina, thank you.